In trying to remove Jonathan, there were stateless persons that were from the Sahel region that were imported into Nigeria, and a former chairman of PDP made that statement. I'm not the person that made it.
But that importation is a fact, is it?
That importation is a fact. If we go back in time, this is a matter that we raised long time once the Buhari regime started. Don't forget, what has happened in Nigeria is that most of the time when something comes up today, we never sit back and say, how did we get to this point? We got to this point by virtue of the fact of the effort to remove President Jonathan. There had always been this herder-farmer clash, but it never got to this point where whole communities were exterminated so that some people will be roaming freely within their land, which is what happens in Plateau and in Benue State.
I think Benue is the worst hit.
Precisely. Yeah. And you know why? Because most of the banks of the Benue is lush because it's watered by the Benue River. And so these people came and they want. And who are these people? And that's a question that we have not dealt with. The bill first said that we have to confine these people to the ranches within their states of origin. And somebody woke up and said, no, every Nigerian has a right to go around. There's no such thing like a state of origin. Why will anybody make that statement? Reason is that in trying to remove Jonathan, there were stateless persons that were from the Sahel region that were imported into Nigeria, and a former chairman of PDP made that statement. I'm not the person that made it.
But that importation is a fact, is it?
That importation is a fact.
It is so unfortunate that Nigerian politicians are just realizing that these geographical people in Nigeria are not meant to be enemies, but we are not meant to be one. What do I mean? I have been following Nigerian history after the Civil War. I've been studying and listening to so many clips about the state of our nation since then. This is the first time of seeing Nigerian politicians disagreeing at the top. Before, politicians use religion, try to divide the masses, but at the top, they are one. But just a bill to stop the roaming of cattle with herders from across the country is dividing Nigerian politicians for the first time after the Civil War. Now, someone called me yesterday and told me that the northern senators, not just that they disagree on the floor of the Senate, that they are planning that instead of Nigeria to allow the bill to skate through, instead of Ekpa bill and Tinubu or the southern senators with the middle belt to connive and defeat them in the passage of this bill, let them go in their separate country. In other words, these people are putting the issue of cattle above the issue of Nigerians. And this is to remind you, just about a few years ago, where Nnamdi Kanu was talking about this issue of cattle, that it's not all about cattle, that there are some motives why these cattle want to move around Nigeria, and why Buhari was using the issue of Ruga settlement to settle all these herdsmen. I think Senator Abaribe have a very good idea about the history of these herdsmen, their motive, and everything you need to know about this. But I think the time for this issue of herdsmen insecurity to stop.
If you ask any Nigerian Fulani, he will tell you that there's something called the Bororo Fulani. And that Bororo Fulani are these imported ones. They don't own land. Therefore, what they want to do is to settle in Nigeria. They were given free passage, let me just say it, by the Buhari regime. And we were shouting at that time, don't bring people into Nigeria who are not Nigerians. They won't have sympathy. They won't know what has happened. All they want to do is displace you, take over your place, and roam freely within that place.
But there were cattle herders as well.
They were, but the Nigerian cattle herders were not carrying AK-47 rifles and other.
So these guys brought their guns.
So these guys brought their guns with them. first thing they did was to start to rustle the cattle belonging to Nigerians. And so, a Nigerian herder who loses his cattle, has nowhere else to go, he becomes part of them. Because it is given, okay, you either join us or you got nothing. And some of them, of course, joined. And so we have this complicated problem. And this complicated problem is what we want to solve by saying, can we confine you to a particular place? If you have, okay, what you want to do is to move your cattle from where there is grass to another place where there is grass, and you can roam around with them. And I also pointed out on the floor of the Senate that Governor Ganduje at a particular time said, my state, Kano, has more than enough land for all the herders in Nigeria to go around with it. We must make mention that this is not just didn't start now. It's a way, and some people in the Senate will get up and tell you, but it's a way of life. How do you change? No. It was a way of life for us to kill twins. It was also a way of life for us to bury
so there's got to be some
people.
kind of
so
change.
there must have to be
Evolutionary change.
It's an evolutionary change. Yeah. And that comes with education.
Right.
So where the real problem is rather than us struggling to make sure that everybody has education, everybody has a change, everybody moves with the new things today. Some people want to leave some citizens to stay, let them just stay where they are as illiterate, uneducated, herders roaming around and killing people.
Yeah, but the point is that there are different types of education. There's obviously the education where you go to school and start learning your ABCs from the very start up to the end. There's the other form of education, which is educating people about this new ranching proposal. Is there going to be a period of consultation? Because you're not going to educate those people. You're not going to put them through school, but you can educate them, those people who are most likely to be affected by this new ranching proposal. Because the herders, for instance, who, as you've said, are uneducated, they're suspicious of authority, they need to be convinced, as do the farmers who are worried about their land and farms.
Why would they not be? If we suppose all the people who say we are elite, we tell people what to do. If you can tell somebody what to do in elections and say vote for A or B or C, why will you not be able to tell them how to improve their lives? In fact, it's very funny that they themselves, some of my colleagues, will tell you that, that the Nigerian cow, that the yield from milk is so low and all that, but that the yield from the one that is in an environment that is and that the meat is more tender, is bigger and all that. They will tell you all this, but the point is, why don't you want to do it? Why do you want another citizen to be a second-class citizen?
Well, the point here really, Senator, is that if there, I'm wondering whether along with this proposed ranching bill, there is an education component.
Obviously. The point really is that everything is encompassed within it. All it takes is the willingness to do it. And of course, we have said that since the bill has passed the second reading, so it's going to go to the point where everybody will be invited. So we invite Mieti Allah. We invite the Nigerian Farmers Association from each state and all that. We invite each governor because they also have a role to play. Then, when everyone is there, what are the issues that we will now have to deal with? It's just for us to be able to talk to each other with an open mind.
So there's still a long process.
Of course, there's a process that we must have to pass through. But what we don't want is a situation where, whenever the matter comes up, all manners of obstacles are put on the way to make sure that Nigerians will continue to be at each other's throat, and non-Nigerians are coming in and killing Nigerians and taking over their land, because that is another subset of the problem. Of course, it's a problem that everybody is looking at and people are avoiding to talk about it. We cannot avoid to talk about it. Whole villages, areas of the plateau, of the Benue, and even stretching all the way now to Enugu State, down to my own state in Abia. Why? Would somebody come and say, we're just going to let our cows to graze, and if you complain, they kill you because they have the high-powered rifles which the farmer does not have.
But let me ask you this. I mean, what is your sense of how this is moving through the National Assembly?
It's going well.
Right.
Because when we came to do the voting for the second reading of the bill, we could see an overwhelming support for it. Every Nigerian tired of this. We were never like this. In the 60s and all that, there may be a few clashes, but it was always resolved by the Sariki of the whoever is the harder Sariki there, and they will pay compensation and people will go. Not today. Today people are killed and removed from their land, and you now find this anomaly, and all of us should be ashamed of ourselves that within Nigeria in 2024, in several states, we have what we call IDPs. It was never like that before. And so, you are in Benue. Senator Titus Zam, who proposed the bill, told us on the floor of the Senate that part of his senatorial zone in Benue State, they are in IDP camps. Who sent you to an IDP camp in Benue State? There's no Boko Haram there. There's nothing. It's a Hada. So you ask yourself, where would the Hada come from to come to Benue and kill people and send orders to an IDP camp?
I think you used the word an anomaly, and it's
an
certainly
anomaly.
very anomalous.
It's an anomaly, and we need to always deal with this. And you know, because now there's a mixture of all manners of things. There are banditry, there's this, there's that, and so when you're talking about it, then there's a whole lot of things that are involved in it.
So people try to separate the different
precisely,
bits
and I know that a lot of my colleagues are worried. We had a discussion with the former governor of Niger State, and he said, listen, as governor, I looked at this matter. I looked for the old grazing routes. There's explosion in people now living, so they have closed that. But I found out that there were in old ranching sites, which he said he went to the Kaduna registry to find. And so that what he now did was to recover those ranching sites and say, okay, if you come as a header, you go to this ranching site. But you know what? Some refused. Why? Because there's another agenda. It is not ranching that is
right. But who's behind that agenda?
That is where we need to, as Nigerians, sit together, talk together, and find out who is destabilizing Nigeria.
Yeah, but you guys,
with this.
You guys are in the Senate talking together. I mean, that's why you're elected to go to the Senate.
Precisely.
So there are people, representatives from different parts of Nigeria.
Yes.
What are the people from that part of the country saying? What is their justification for opposing this grazing, this ranching bill?
You know, the point really is that when you're engaging with your colleagues, you want to find out what is really the problem. Of course, you find what they feel, or some of them feel, that maybe they have to be able to pander to the wishes of those
of their constituents.
Right. And then, of course,
but there must be marshalling arguments. What is the argument that they're marshalling?
And that's why I said that there's a mix of all manners of things coming in. But I tell you, the preponderance of our colleagues all agree that this cannot continue.
So is this bill likely to alleviate or deepen those grievances that you're talking about?
No, we think that the bill is meant to alleviate,
Right.
not to deepen. Because a bill that deepens means that you're now going to say, let it continue the way it is.
Well, the reason I say that is that if there is so much opposition to it, if the senators who represent constituents are so hugely opposed to it,
No,
then that is bound to...
I don't think so. I
Right.
think that those who are opposed to it are in the minority,
Right.
not in the majority. And I think that with a lot more openness among
Right.
us.
So is that
a
the
lot
key?
more, and we need to be open.
Right.
We need to understand the other person's point of view.
Right.
We need to be able to alleviate some people's fears,
anxiety.
Right.
The reason I
and so
ask
forth.
that is
Yeah.
that this is not the first time that there's been an attempt to ban open grazing. I mean, but any attempt has often been followed by a new wave of violence. And I'm trying to understand what's likely to be different this time.
Well, what's likely to be different this time is that it's been too long and everybody's tired of it. People now know that we cannot continue like this. There will be no country left.
Okay.
If everyone now says, okay, let us take the laws into our
Okay,
hands.
let me just ask you to hold on for a minute. Let's
Yes.
watch a clip of senators, including yourself, having a discussion about this in the Senate. Let's take a listen.
I'm against the idea of restricting movement of Nigerians from one state to another.
No, that would not happen.
Right now, citizens of Nigeria are allowed to move from one state to another to establish business without any hindrance whatsoever.
It affects everywhere in Nigeria.
Yes.
Nobody can restrict
pastoralists and
movement.
citizens of Nigeria, they can move to North Central, Northwest, Northeast, South, and establish their business without
They can do so, but not with AK-47.
As we consider this, I also want us to look at the Land Use Act as an impediment to this particular very wonderful bill to ensure that we can get and put to rest this matter of header farmer class.